Welcome to another exciting episode of Pen the Writer's Utopia. Listen, guys, we have had an amazing season, okay? Amazing season. And tonight is our last episode for this season. But, baby, I promise it is a good one. So, you might as well go on, pull up your chair, get you a blanket so you can kind of nestle in. That's what I want to say, nestle in and enjoy this conversation that we're about to have tonight. I'm so honored because I have a wonderful and amazing woman joining me tonight. She is an author, she is a historian, and most of all, not most of all, she's a survivor and she is a believer in God the Most High. Listen, so many things I could say about her, but I'm going to save some for our interview tonight and for our chat. What I do want to say is make sure you go ahead and share this episode with someone else. I'm telling you, it's going to bless them. Not to mention, Karen is sharing, baby. Anyway, I'm going to stop playing around and just say she is the author of the recent book that came out, Beyond the First 48. I want you to help me welcome up in here my good friend, Shawn Wright. Hey, Shawn.
Tea.
Listen, I don't know why, but I know I took so long introducing you, but that's okay. Because tonight I just feel like having fun because that's what we do, right? That's
Nope,
what we
that's what
do. Oh, because we got to get our little dance it out. Dance it out. This is what me and Shawn do, y'all. Listen, I have had the pleasure of working with you over these past couple of years as we literally birthed your story, right?
Yes.
Um, and I say that not taking it lightly, but this was truly a near and dear story to your heart. I mean, everybody's story, it's personal, but
Mm-hmm.
this one right here was a true journey for you and your family. And so to be able to work with you on this project and to help you tell your story in a way that it will be helpful to others experiencing the same thing, it was truly my honor and pleasure to be a part of that. And so I'm super excited to have you here, super excited to talk about the book. And, once again, because we can, she's the author of Beyond the First 48. Just looking at the cover right there, you can tell that there is some drama, some juiciness, some trauma,
Some
some things going on.
yes, a
Some
journey,
things going on.
a
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So before we get into that, because
Mhm.
that's the meat and potatoes, let's start them in and come in before we land the plane, right? Okay.
Yes.
So tell everybody a little bit about who Shawn Wright is.
Shawn Wright is the oldest of three children, born and raised in New York. And not only that, I'm a twin, fraternal twin.
Yes.
And I am the proud mother of three children, grandmother of two, which they know me as Nana. And I am an employee at a local community college, and I also teach history part time.
Yes. Yes. And
So,
I chuckled a little bit because I'm like, I did say to everybody that you're a historian, but literally in this book, you wrote your own history. Like you wrote a piece of your own history. Isn't that interesting? The history buff that loves history wrote her history.
yeah, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that Cause when I wrote this, when I finished the manuscript,
Yeah.
you had looked over it and you said, yeah, I'm gonna need you to redo chapter one. You're gonna do this from scratch. And I'm like, why? I thought chapter one was fine. You told me, you said no, 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 no. Chapter one is fine. I want you to write your history. And then you gave me examples and I went with it after that. So chapter one is written from scratch and it is my history. And yes, I love history. Everybody knows who knows me know I love history. That's why I teach history also. But to tell my history, it was like I read history, teach it, but to tell my part of it was like I got scared.
Right.
Once I start writing it, it was smooth after that.
So let me clear this up for those that's watching and are asking, what in the world are these two talking
I'm talking
about?
about.
Right? Yeah. They're like, what are they talking about? Let me bring you up to speed.
We're gonna break it down.
So yeah. So the whole point of Beyond the First 48 is it's literally telling, it's a memoir and it's telling a specific time period um, of an incident, which we're going to get into, but I really want to take our time and kind of break it down. So I don't want to rush it, but it's breaking down a space, a time in space where Shawn and her family had to battle through some trauma. And so when we say write from scratch, because that's what they're asking, like, what do you mean? Isn't the whole book written from scratch? Yes, the whole book is written. They are her words. It's her story. But what she's talking about is when she sat down to write, literally she was writing everything from what happened in the events, right? So event by event and incident and incident. And so it was like boom, boom, boom. History had already told her what that would look like. Walking through that journey, she knew, well, these are the facts. These are the facts of what actually happened. When she says right from scratch, I went back to her and told her, no, chapter one, we need a backstory. How
Yes.
did we get here?
Yes.
So that's what she means by telling
Mm-hmm.
her history. Basically, she had to go tell the backstory, which she was not prepared to do. She was going to skip over every bit of it if she
I
could
sure
have.
was.
But I was like, no, the people the
Mm-hmm.
people need to know, how did we get here?
Right.
How
And
did we get here?
instead of writing what happened, people needed to understand, the readers needed to understand the backstory of, they need to know from the beginning, how
Yeah.
the beginning up to
Then, and
then.
what she didn't like was, she was like, ho, 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 this book is about me and my son and what my son went through. You didn't say nothing about me having to tell my own piece of this. And I was like, yeah, but we
Yeah.
need to know, how did you and your son even get to this point? There was a beginning. Let's go.
Yeah, you like, no, you're gonna write everything from the beginning. And then you told me, you can do this. You got
Mm-hmm.
this. Sean, you got this. And I am like freaking it's like, I don't think I could do it. T, I don't think I could do it. No, T, no, no, T, this is, and you said calmly, Sean, you can do this. You got
Yeah.
this.
And you
And
did.
I did.
And
Once
you
I,
did. And guess
yep,
what? Guess what? Everyone that has gotten your book this far has loved it. And
yes,
they love the fact that you took that, not just taking them through the so let's stop dancing around it. Okay, let's go back. I'm gonna stop being vague about it. What is Tell us, what is Beyond the First 48 about? Let's start there. Because me and you, we talk all the time and
all the
they're
time.
not privy to these conversations.
No,
And so they
yeah,
don't understand our back and forth. So let's clear it up for
no, 'cause
everybody. What is Beyond the First 48 about?
Beyond the First 48 is a story of our family dealing with gun violence. The night of January 26, 2017, my son was walking home from work, and someone who didn't know him saw him and was driving in a car and shot my son multiple times. And my son, being that he didn't feel the shots, the multiple shots that he experienced, my son only felt one. So when he called his friends to get him, told them where he was, and from there on was
The
our
story
experience.
unfolds.
Yes, the
Yeah.
story unfold. I don't want to tell you all the whole thing. We don't want to, to tell
Right,
the whole
right.
thing.
No.
But the
And that's
story
real.
unfold.
Yeah.
This is where I come in as his mother, as his caregiver, and how we experience this experience for 2 years, um, by me taking care of him and him being a survivor. And not only that, I became a survivor too, because
Mhm.
what happened to my son had traumatized me as well. So
Yeah.
the book is mostly about both our survival of our experience dealing with gun violence.
Yeah.
That's beyond the first 48.
Right. And so prior, so now to give you guys some context. So prior to us even getting into the night that Chris was shot and you having to override everything that was going on in your own mind and in your own night, right?
Yes,
um we needed to know how did we get there, and that's what she means by she had to go back and like really reflect on how did we get to that night. And it
right.
was interesting because it had her to do some self-reflection that actually did her some good.
Yes,
It did her some good,
it
right?
was very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because I started out with that night,
Yeah.
didn't go before post that. So when you had me write my family dynamic, had me write the history of my
Mm-hmm.
family dynamic, once I started doing that, everything flowed.
Yeah.
Each chapter flowed. And the more I wrote, the more common and therapeutic it became. And I can't explain that, or maybe I could, but you know how you something like you get your nerves get so rattled when you do
Mm-hmm.
something like anger or stressful, or like sadness, and you
Yeah.
start
And
doing.
I was gonna say, with it being such a traumatic, it was a very traumatic experience for you and for Chris, right? And
Right.
so in that, that's good that you're even bringing this up for those that are watching, because it's like when you're writing, when you're called to go back and write your story, or to write, you know, again, yeah, your story, sometimes it does include trauma, sometimes it does include things that, you know, we don't want to really deal with or go back and deal with because it was so painful to deal with the first time. So I even find it, I don't find it interesting, but I love that you're sharing how in you going back and writing it, your expectation was for it to be some type of anxiety or fear because you remembered what it was like walking through it, right?
Right.
But to actually go and write about it, it was your way of healing. Like that was God's way of giving you therapy and healing as you wrote each chapter.
Yeah. And not only that, it's like all of it was repressed.
Mm.
You know, even though I talk about points of it, most of it was repressed. And when me and you talked, you said, okay, so you're going to write every feeling that you felt along this journey. I want you to continue going to therapy because you bringing out all these emotions, and I don't want it triggering you. And I was thinking that, when we was talking, I was like, I'm gonna need continue therapy. I'm going but you said it before I said it. So I was relieved that you said it because I repressed so much to keep
Yeah.
going. I had to
Mm-hmm.
keep going for Chris. I had to keep going for my other two children. I had to keep going for me and not continuously think, because my goal was to make sure Chris be 100%.
Right.
Chris will walk again. Chris will, um, his scars will heal, but I wanted Chris' mental state to be fine. I was thinking more of how Chris was going to be, um, instead of myself. So I
Yeah.
repressed every feeling I had along this journey. So when we talked about me and Chris' journey, and you told me you wanted me to continue therapy, I said, I think, that is wise. I was going
Mm-hmm.
to do it anyway. And I'm glad I did that, because a lot of feelings, a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety came out
Yeah.
along the way. And not only that, it honestly helped me more to write my feelings. And then
Yeah.
also and then I still had to go back in the manuscript to write even more, because I still was suppressing some of it and not wanting to explain, because I'm still feeling that anxiety, and I
Yeah.
had to write more to get it out. So
Yeah.
it was very therapeutic for me to continue writing the book, because it helped bring all of my feelings that I felt and I kept repressed in my.
And that's what exactly what I was getting ready to say. And that's the beauty of writing, because you make a very good point. Like, there are so many things that in our journeys we suppress for survival, right? So in
Yeah,
order for us to survive, we're constantly suppressing emotions and feelings, because it's like, I can't deal with this right now, because if I deal with this now, then I'm not going to be able to deal with this over here, right?
right.
So you don't realize that you're still holding these things
Hmm.
until you sit down to write. And a lot of people will be like, hey, I have writer's block. And I said, no, you don't have writer's block. You are processing. That's what that is. Like, when you're writing your story and you get to a place where you're stopped and you want to avoid, or you don't want to go, you're not able to fully write that chapter out, or you're tap dancing around doing it. No, it's usually because you're processing, and your mind is like, I don't want to go there, right?
Right.
But the more you write it out, the more you let it out, and the more it flows out, the more the healing can flow and
You
and
taught me that.
and go.
You
Yeah.
had taught me that. You had honestly taught me that, because it was a time, I think, I don't know if it was one or two times I felt I had writer's block. And you told me this, this is what your mind is doing. This is what you're dealing with. It's okay. And the more you talk to me, I feel when my anxiety is up, and and by the tone in my text or the tone in my call, you would know it, because you had gotten to know me really well. You pick up the phone real quick and call me and say, Sunshine, it's okay. It is okay. You calm me down. It's your voice. Your voice is very calming.
Oh.
I want people to understand this. T T has the most calming voice. calming nature. If your anxiety, you dealing with anxiety and your anxiety is up like mine was when I was writing this book, and it was a couple of times, T would know by the tone of my text or an email. I sent her an email and she could tell my anxiety's up. She will pick up the phone real quick and say, "It is okay." And then she will talk to me. And then next thing you know, once we off the phone, what I do, T, I
Get the
write.
writing. She get the writing.
I get the writing done. I write a chapter. I finish a
Mhm.
chapter. Then I text her and say, I finished the chapter. T, I finished
But
the chapter.
it was just processing. You know what I mean? And I can't take credit for that. You know, I don't
Yes.
take credit for that stuff. That's God. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's nothing but God. But
You and God. I'm sorry, T. I'm gonna give you credit for that. It's you and
I
God.
can't take the credit, Sean.
Okay. But
Okay,
it's
let's
you
just say
and
God
God.
guides, and
Yes.
I'm just
Because
the vessel that
I
God uses. Let's say
I
that.
I put it out there. I said that I would talk to people personally about our story. And I said maybe one day I would write a book. And I put it out there that one day I would write a book. Not believing it, not believing it at all. And God said, "You're gonna write that book. You're gonna write the book, and I'm gonna make sure the person that I sent your way, you and that person are going to work wonderfully to get this book done." And somehow I found you, and just like that, it took it
And I'm
when
still
I found
laughing
you.
because I don't know how many times I was like, "How did you find me?" Like, and I know people are like, "Well, you have a business. People can Google you." Absolutely, but no, for a
Yes.
random person that doesn't know you, and for her to Google what she Googled, and she was like, "You came. You were the first person to come up," and I was like, "Really?" I
Mm-hmm.
did that same Google search my own self, and I was not the first one to come up. But that
God.
was because we were supposed to work together.
Yes. And I, the contact form, fill that out. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, well, she could be busy, you know, I might hear from her and I might not. She probably got so many writers writing her, sending her inquiries about writing a book or whatever. So I just pushed it in the back of my mind. Got an email from you. And I was like, oh my God, she wrote me back. She wrote me back. And we met, and that first meeting, I was like, she's going to be my publisher. I know she's going to be my publisher. And you told me, I'm going to take you as a client. And I was so happy. And I told my children, I said, well, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And I wanted their support. And all three of them gave them, they all gave my support. They were like, Mama, we support you 100%. Whatever you want to do, da da da. But all three of them didn't want to talk about it. They just
Yeah,
prefer me talking about it, and which is fine. And that's why um, when you met Chris, and Chris was like, he looked forward to reading the book and stuff like that. And the
yeah,
other two, of course, they said the same thing, but you didn't see them.
right.
Um, they were very happy for me to write something that we all had went through and how traumatizing it was for each and every one of us.
Yeah,
So, but they were very supportive and still are supportive of it. And they still ask about you and how the book is doing. The book's doing fine, whatever.
yeah.
But our first meeting, it was just by chance because I did Google you and you came up. So it wasn't you came up. I cannot explain that. You popped up and you was the first and last. Because I said she and I you know how you go on someone's web page, either web page, social media, whatever, and you look around in it and all, and that's what I did. And I saw a picture of you. I said, that's it. She's it. she is it. She's gonna help me get our story out there, because it was important to me to have our story out there, because I wanted readers to understand how gun violence affect families
Yeah.
after, like, someone dies from gun violence.
Yeah.
And you will see the parents on TV, and they talk about their loved one and how it affect them in the family, the community. After the cameras are gone, that's it. You don't hear any more about it. I want readers to understand the personal, traumatic, chaotic side of gun violence and how it affects the family, how it affects the community. And the question is, what can we all do as a community to stop it?
Yeah.
And I wanted people to walk away thinking that, and asking themselves that question: what can we do to stop it? Because it's still going on. It's rampant in the United States, all everywhere, and it's in everybody's backyards. Because before, it wasn't even in my backyard. Where I'm from, it's nowhere near our backyard until what
Until
happened.
it was. Right. Until it was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's that was my main goal. And if I can reach one person, and T, I say this so many times to you, if I can reach one person, I've done my job. I think I exceeded that. I think I exceeded that goal. And I'm very proud of writing this book about us. And I've been told, I've been very transparent, especially with the chapter you wanted me to write. The first chapter,
Hey,
very
and
transparent.
and and what I want everybody that's watching to know is that there's still more to come. Whether
She's
she wants to admit it or not, there is still more to come.
We had this conversation. We had this conversation numerous times, and you told me you think this book is the last book you're going to write. I'm like,
No,
yeah,
no.
no,
But it's okay. I'll let you catch that on the way home. You'll figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah.
You will figure it
We
out.
had this conversation numerous
Mhm.
times. Everyone, we have.
But what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we talked about what it was like writing the book.
Hmm.
I want to talk to you about what it was like after the book was written.
Oh,
Ooh. So you all go and get your snack and come on right back. We'll be back on the other side of this break. This is Pinned, the Writer's Utopia.
Whether it's a snow adventure in the mountains or a train trip across the country, a tour of the Greek Isles, or sailing the seas, Elegant 3 Travel will get you there. Global Executive Staffing provides top-level staffing to federal and private sector companies at the most competitive price. We are experts in coordinating projects from design to development, and we teach others the business of federal contracting in collaboration with the Louisiana MBDA Business Center. Global Executive Staffing is the Department of Veteran Affairs, Center for Veterans Enterprise, certified service-disabled veteran-owned small business. At GES, we meet the needs of our clients on time and within budget, every time. To connect with us, go to www.gestaff.com.
Welcome back to Pen the Writer's Utopia. I am continuing my conversation tonight with none other than Shawn Wright, who is the author of Beyond the First 48. We always have a great time talking. And so the first half, we talked about what it was like to write it. And
Yeah.
I told you that in coming back, I want to get into you released it to get the healing, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
were able to write and get your healing.
Yeah.
What was it like reading it?
Oh my gosh. Reading it, it's like I can see it. I can see it all in front of me again. But I healed from me writing about it, so it wasn't traumatic, if that makes sense. It
Mm-hmm.
was I couldn't understand how strong I was until I read until I read what I wrote. Because remember when I was writing the manuscript and you told me to write, write till you can't write anymore. And that's all you had to tell me. Because that's what I done. So after seeing it in its physical form
Mm-hmm.
and open the book and start reading it, I thought I was reading a different Shawn.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't know Shawn was that strong.
So you got to see yourself in a whole different light than you had
Yes.
ever seen yourself.
Yes. I never saw myself how I wrote in the book because to me, I was being Chris's mother.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about myself. I didn't think about um, what was going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
My thought was to make sure if Chris survived this, it was two things. If Chris survived this, how are we going to cope with him being, I didn't know if he was going to be disabled temporary or permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if he didn't survive it, how am I going to survive burying my son? So when I look in the book, the physical form of it, the manuscript was on my laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kind of edits and all, comments, me and you and Tania, right?
Right.
But to see it in a physical form, to see my name on a book that I wrote, that was amazing, awesome. When I opened the book, it was a different story because I didn't know how strong I was
Yeah.
until I looked at that. That was amazing to me too. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
I was that strong. And I really truly let God take control.
Yeah.
God was in control of it all. And I realized that I depended solely on him. I didn't depend on anyone else. No one around me. I depended solely on God. So those were the two main things. Didn't know how strong I was. And I depended solely, gave everything, gave my all to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and just give me chills just now thinking about that. But yeah, that's what it was.
No, but that's so awesome, right?
Hmm.
Because you spend time writing and you're like, "Oh, I'm getting
Hmm.
the extra therapy that I needed," right? So you're writing it out. So you have that part that's flowing and coming out And then if you're just writing and releasing, to even be able to go back and read, do you know how much that you probably write, how much you wrote that you probably didn't even realize that you actually wrote until you went back and read it? I
Yeah.
know. Let me say that again. Like sometimes when you sit down and write, you're just flowing
Yes.
and you write so much and you don't even realize that you wrote that until you go back and read what you wrote.
Yes. Yes.
And all of that you read was all up in you. All up in you.
All in there. And God was all in there. Because so many times I will ask God, just please guide me through this, because I want it to be done right. I want the words, the feelings, the emotions, everything to be done right.
Yes.
So I constantly go to God and say, God, please guide my voice. Please
That's
guide
so
my
good.
feelings. I
Yeah.
need your help, God, today. I need your help. Every time, every time the words flow, and I don't stop until it stop. I just
Yes.
keep, and then I would text you, T, I wrote another chapter.
Yep.
I wrote another
I
chapter today.
you look, yo, so many times I was like, I thought you said you were stopping. She'd be like,
Yeah.
no, I'm done for today. And then an
Mhm.
hour or two later, she was like, I just finished another chapter. And I'm like, I thought you was
Mhm.
done for today. I thought you weren't going to touch it anymore. And
You
then I'll
see
get
me?
some notification that says Shawn updated, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I thought you said you weren't going to touch it anymore. I thought you were finished.
you, you get me all the time because you said, did she just say she was done for the day? And I'm going back in.
So
And
many times you came and
yes,
was like, I'm finished. And I was like, I'll believe it when I see it.
right.
Because not too long after that, she's in there. Something
Yes,
else has come back. Something else has
yes,
come back. And that's okay because
yes,
you want to write until it's finished, right?
yes,
You want
yes.
to write until it's finished. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to just leave it half done. You got to write until you're done.
No, but I
But you did a great
always
job.
ask God for guidance. God, please guide my voice, guide my hands, because I'm writing about our family, and this is very important to me. And God knew it was important to me because I wanted people to understand how this affects families. It's very important, and I wanted to tell. I felt I was telling Chris's story. Remember, and I keep telling you, I'm telling Chris's story. You keep telling me, no, you're not. You telling you and Chris's story.
Yeah, you're telling your story.
You telling
Like
both of
you're
y'all
telling
story.
your story that involves Chris, but you're telling your
Right.
story. Like,
It,
I'm not messing with you or picking with you, Chris, but I'm just saying because I know you're gonna watch this, baby.
yeah.
Can't nobody tell your story but you.
Right.
Like your mama told the collective story from her point of view, but you have to tell yours.
And he still doesn't want to, but he told me when he read the book, when he finally read the book, he got the chance to sit down and read the book. He didn't know all that was going on around him
Right.
because he had tubes all on. He was on a ventilator. So everything that was going on around him, he did not know. He was in and out. So when he finally read it, he called me. He said, Mom, I finished the book. I said, okay, what do you think about it? He said, I understand from your view what was going on. I didn't know all this was going on. And Mama, I see it plainly in your eyes, in your perspective. And I said, and he said, it is a good book.
Oh.
Mama, you did a good job. I'm very proud of you. And I was like,
Oh.
thank you. But The other two, well, Bree read it before he did.
Hello,
So
the story was about, it was
yeah,
about Chris.
when
It
it and
was
then when
your
it
story, your point of view, but it was about Chris. Of course, Chris was going to be the last to read it.
and he was. So Bree was the first to read it. And when she read it, she said, Mom, I just wanted to give you a hug. You do? She was like, oh my God. And she didn't realize because, of course, there was a lot going on that she didn't know.
Yeah.
So she didn't realize it until she read the book too. So it all three of my children, they gave me their support, but they also told me I did a very good job on the book, and being a first time author, they are very proud of their mom.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud. I'm happy that my children are happy about the book. It's still not thinking about me. You see that? It's still not still not thinking about me, thinking about the children, but still not thinking about me.
So, how do you feel though? Like, are you, now that it's done, the book is
Mm-hmm.
out, the story is written.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? Now what's next? What is your hope for next?
My hope for to continue to talk about gun violence and also continue writing.
So, in talking about gun violence, are we just talking about it, or are you becoming an advocate to prevent it? Because
And
I won't be
advocate.
specific, right? Because
Oh yeah,
people will take
you
our words
see,
and
yeah,
run
you
with
want
it. You know
to
what I mean?
right. I want to continue to be an advocate to stop it, to continue to help others if they're dealing with that experience, and also to help stop gun violence.
Okay. And so, what is one of the biggest things that we know you want to bring awareness to gun violence?
Yeah.
And we don't want to tell all of the ending. We do want people to read the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can give you the cliff notes all day long, but
Right.
reading the book is something totally different, right? You got to read the book to get the whole picture, not
Yeah.
just the cliff notes. And I know that we've done a lot of smiling and a lot of laughing because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We laugh and we smile and we try to enjoy life even through the hard times, right?
Right.
But what would you want your readers, the person that picks up the book and reads, what is it that you want them to walk away with?
I want them to walk away knowing that they are not alone. I want them to walk away knowing that there is more to life than a traumatic experience. Do not let something like this or something similar to this keep you as a person down. You mentioned that me and you smile a lot. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I smile through the pain, and regardless of what I'm going through, I smile through it and I get through it. But I want readers to understand that they are not alone. There is someone out there who cares for them, who loves them. I may not know them, but I am that person. Um, but I just want them to understand that they're not alone, and they can get through the tough times with God in their midst. God is always with us. God is with them, and for them to know that He will not forsake them, whatever they're going through in life. He is with them and he will guide them
If
through
you
it.
turn to him, all you got to do is
Hmm.
turn to him.
He will guide them through the storm because the storm is temporary. The storm I went through was temporary. Um, but then, yet, it's still a process that I'm still dealing with even now. It's been 7 years and every day it gets better, but God is with them. God would always be with them, and they are never alone.
Okay. All right. So where can y'all get this book from? Let's talk about that. Again, you can go on over to keytolife.com/Shawn Wright. There you can find out a little bit more about Shawn, read her bio, and grab you a copy of Beyond the First 48. Now, you can also get you a copy over at Amazon.com as well. It's available in a few other places, Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, and a few other places past that. But Amazon.com, keytolife.com/Shawn Wright. Either way, you have resources to get this book. This is their testimony of how God brought them through the survival of one of the most traumatic times in their lives
Yes, yes.
involving gun violence.
Gun violence.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Drive-by shooting, minding his business,
Going
on
home
his way
on
home from
his way
work.
home. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the book covers what happens after the first 48 hours. What did Shawn say? You check on people while you're going through, but it's them after hours. This is what it looks like after the initial.
Hmm. This after.
Everybody talks about it in the beginning, but then it fades off the newsreel. And then what
Yes.
happens?
Yes.
Well, check out Shawn's book Beyond the First 48. She talks about what happens after the cameras disappear.
Hmm.
After the cameras disappear, she talks about it.
Yes.
Shawn, I always love talking with you. You are like the greatest. I love smiling with you. I love dancing with you because that's what we do. Like I
That's what
said,
we do.
there
We
are some days when we have to dance it out, literally.
we don't
Like
have no music. We
we don't have no
just
music. We
dance.
just get in the
We have
groove.
a
We
good
just go
time.
and we just go and we just
Hmm.
go. And that's it. Some days you have to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some days you got to make your own music. Some
Yes.
days you got to encourage yourself.
Get you through
Yeah.
whatever you're going through in life. And God is amazing. He's awesome.
Yes, yes, God, Yah, the great I
Yes.
am, is
He's
amazing. Yes, He
amazing.
is
It's amazing.
amazing,
Get you through.
amazing.
Get you through anything you go through in life.
Hey,
He
all you
is
got to
there.
do, what does it say? All you got to do is ask. God, help me.
And there's no special way of praying to him or talking to him. Just talk to him. He wants to listen. That's all he wants to do. He wants to listen. He wants you to come to him and talk to him because you never know. The next day, what you're asking for, he is right there.
He said He'll provide all your needs.
That's right.
All you got to do is ask.
Ask.
Seek Him, ask Him,
Hmm.
and then He'll provide everything that you need. Come on here, Matthew 6:33. Let's go. Seek Him, Yah, the great I am. Seek Him,
Yes. Yes.
and He will provide.
Hmm.
Hello?
And I put
Come
it
on,
out
y'all.
there. Now I put it out there. I'm think I'm gonna write a book. He said, "Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. Don't worry about it. We're gonna write this book." He
We're
proved me
going to get it
wrong.
done.
He was like, "No, you said you was gonna write." No, this what I want you to do, and he
Mm-hmm.
guided me through.
the
writing
whole
a
way.
book all
Yep.
the way till I couldn't write anymore. That's what he did for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
And again, what does that look like? Here we go. Beyond the first 48. Oh, I
See?
always love talking to you. It's
I
like
love you,
time
T.
flies when we having fun. I love you too, boo. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
And thank you,
Um,
ma'am.
I'm just so super proud of you. I thank you for entrusting and for trusting me to help you through this process. Um, and I'm so glad that your story was able to get out to assist other families that may be going through very similar circumstances. And let's just be honest,
Yes,
maybe it's not gun violence. Maybe it wasn't a drive-by shooting, or maybe your family member didn't get shot. Maybe it was something else that was just as traumatic,
right,
but it was something that came and interrupted your life unexpectedly, something that caused you to, question and literally have to fight for life and come to a place of rest and trust in God in a way that you had never done before. Maybe that's your
right.
story. Maybe it was just something that happened. Maybe it was a different type of event. Either way, her story uh, can definitely help encourage you through the process of trusting and believing in God, Yah, the great
Yes,
I am,
yes.
as your healer, as your provider, as your comforter, as your protector and guider,
Mm,
as you walk out the traumas in your life.
yes,
That's what her story is about.
right. It's not specifically like you said about gun violence. It's any traumatic experience you are dealing with,
Yeah,
and you see God guidance because it's something you never dealt with before. Like you said, never dealt with this. You know,
yeah,
I dealt with some things, but not this. And I've talked to God all the time.
yeah,
This was the time that I had no choice but to like pretty much get on my knees and plead. I never
yeah.
had to do that before.
Yeah,
So
you had to rely on God in a way
fully,
that you had never done before and get to know him in a way that you had
yes.
never done before.
And yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
Me and him have a good relationship. We had a good one before,
You
but
got an even better one
yes,
now.
ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thank you, baby girl, for joining me. I hope you guys have enjoyed our chat this evening. Like I said, it's been such a great season, so many good episodes. If this is your first episode from season 2 that you've caught, I encourage you to go on back over to the other episodes of this season and catch up, because each one there is wisdom, nuggets of wisdom all throughout, and just not just for the writer, but in your relationship with God, in your walk with God. It's for writers, it's for just living life. Listen, each episode, I'm telling you, has been such a gem and such a refreshing for me as well. It's been my privilege to sit down and interview all you guys this season. And so, what better way to wrap season 2 with Shawn? And so grateful for you, dear. Again, go on over to amazon.com and or ketalife.com, grab you a copy of Beyond the First 48. It is an amazing book. It's an amazing story, and that's all I'm going to say. Go get it.
Thank you.
All right. So that's it. Have an amazing
Thank
break.
you, T.
And we'll catch you guys next time. See you, baby.
Bye.